Welcome to the Menopause Unplugged Podcast with me, your host, Nikki Oliveira. On this podcast, we will hear from women who are navigating the challenging and transformative journey of perimenopause and menopause. These women have graciously agreed to share their stories and insights, offering a raw and honest glimpse into what it's like to go through this major life transition. From hot flushes to rediscovering themselves, our guests will provide a wealth of knowledge and inspiration for anyone who's going through or will go through menopause. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and join us for a fascinating and enlightening discussion. Hello and welcome to the Menopause Unplugged podcast with me, your host, Nikki Oliveira. Today in the studio we have Cheryl with us. How are you, Cheryl? Okay?
Fine, thank you, Nikki. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you very much for joining. So, Cheryl, today we're going to talk about your own perimenopausal journey, or how it started in perimenopause.
Yeah.
So, tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, it's just been a difficult it's difficult to explain really, because I didn't know that I was going through the perimenopausal at the time. So it was just, I was experiencing all these different symptoms and thinking, well, what's going on? Like, I'm forgetful, feeling these hot sweats and stuff. And all my muscles were really aching, and I exercised. So it was impacting on my exercise routine. And then I said, right, I've got to go to the doctors because something isn't right. And when I went to the doctors, and then, they said, no, you haven't got Alzheimer's, or, you haven't got arthritis. And they said, maybe it might be your perimenopause. And then I had the blood test, and it came back to say I was peri, because also I kind of was missing, my periods weren't regular. And I just thought, am I pregnant? How does that work?
Yes.
So it was just a big shock, really, discovering. And then I had to look up and understand what this meant for me, and started to read up about it, and just kind of get more information, because my mum said, well, I don't know, I've been through menopause, and I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
So yeah, that's how it came. That was my my kind of experience.
Yeah. So your symptoms then, Cheryl, I know you've just kind of touched on it there, that you had achy joints and so on. So what were your sort of main symptoms that kind of crept up on you?
Well, definitely the fog brain and forgetfulness was what I noticed straight away, and then the joint and achy pain in my joints, and that's that's remained as well.
Right.
But I see a herbalist now, and that helps. But the joints is really a problem for me, and that's been consistent. But the hot flushes I've been able to manage, because I've been taking like herbal remedies for that, and that's kind of gone a little bit. But that's been, that consistency has been, my joints have been really bad, and my muscles.
Yeah. So apart from the brain fog, has it all been quite physical symptoms then, or has it been, have you suffered any psychological symptoms as well?
Not necessarily psychological, to be fair. I think, but that I kind of counteract that with my exercise, because I exercise. I'm a person that loves, I play netball, and I do a circuit class, and I do weights. And so I think that helps a lot if you're a person who is, has exercise in your routine, in your daily life. So that's really helpful, to be fair, but not too much psychological. In terms of waking up in the night, that's been a problem for me as well. But that's got better now. I'm on the estrogen tablets, because that just helps me to sleep straight through. But But yeah, it's just a constant discovery of different things each time, so yeah.
So would you say that your symptoms then change? They fluctuate and
Yeah,
change.
absolutely. They fluctuate, they change. The the hot flushes subside, and then something else starts to happen, and I'm thinking, oh, I wonder if this is a menopause symptom. And then I look it up,
Yeah.
and then I think, oh, yes, it is.
Mm.
Or I'll email the menopause or doctor secretary and say, look, and I need to ask this question. And she asks the doctor, and then her secretary comes back to me,
Right.
because I find the GP is just kind of, for me, my GP don't know enough about, when you ask them questions, they just don't know really. So
Mm-hmm.
that's, kind of, that's what I do when I need to kind of get any questions answered about anything that's I'm experiencing with my body and my health. So yeah.
Yeah. So let's touch a little bit more on that then. So when you went to your doctor initially, were they quite supportive, or were they a little bit dismissive of your
Um,
symptoms?
I wouldn't say they were supportive. Yeah, I wouldn't say they were supportive. They, they didn't straight away, didn't kind of connect that with my age, and I may be perimenopausal.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only a friend, who I kind of classed as a menopause sister, and I talked to her a lot about, just, we're friends anyway, but I just shared quite a few bits with her, and she was sharing with me
Yeah.
about she's experiencing, and we're similar age. And she said, I think it's perimenopausal. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. And she said, you're not seeing your periods regularly. And I said, no. And she said, it definitely is. You need to. And so she told me to go to the doctors and ask to speak to be referred to the menopause clinic. And I
Right.
kind of told them what I wanted. I said,
Mm-hmm.
look, you need to refer me to the menopause clinic. You need to do a blood test. So I was telling them what to do,
Yeah.
and I just thought, that's, ridiculous, really.
Yeah. And I think, so we see it so much more now that
Yeah,
women are really having to push for it themselves.
yeah,
It's no
absolutely.
longer a case of just going to the doctor and the doctor taking care of everything and saying, this is what it is, this is what I recommend. It's like being armed with that knowledge before you go into that appointment.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the experience I've had, and it's continued. And and I just see, and that's why I think you're usually don't you're referred to the menopause clinic. Well, under the NHS, it's like once or twice, but
Mm-hmm.
I've been three times. And I said to the menopause, when the doctor at the menopause clinic, that I would like to see her again.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, it's going to have to be like in 6 months time. And I said to her, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and she said, oh, why do you feel you need to see me again? I said, because what you've issued me, I want to see how it works out with me and my body. And I'd also find that, you have so much knowledge and
Mm-hmm.
understanding, and I feel supported. And
Yes.
she said, no, that's fine. I'll keep you coming back. So I thought that was really nice, because if
Yeah.
not, I think I'll just be still a little bit lost with it.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's quite rare, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like, to be able to see such a specialist
yeah,
frequently. So
yeah,
no, that's really good. So how long? So you're on HRT at the moment, hormone replacement therapy.
yeah.
Is it just the estrogen and progesterone you're on, or are you on
Well,
testosterone as well?
no. So now I went on Monday, actually, to see back to the menopause clinic. And so I have the estrogen tablet at night, and she has now replaced my gel, with a patch.
Mm-hmm.
So I've started my patches this week, and she's also given me some vaginal estrogen,
Yeah.
because I was having like soreness down there in that area. And I looked it up, and I was, found out it was a symptom that, is in the menopause that you can
Yeah.
get. So I spoke to her about it, and she said that's fine. And yeah, so I'm on those 3 hormone replacement and support for the problems that I've been having.
Yeah, cool. So how long has it been then, Cheryl? Is it been a while? Would you say it's stabilised now? A little bit?
I don't know. I'm because I think I was looking back and thinking, well, wow, I had started menopause. I didn't realise that I started, and I was in perimenopausal, and that must have been around 46, 47 years old, and but didn't really understand or acknowledge what was going on, um, um, but knew something was going wrong.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I'm 51 now, and it was only last October was when I got my appointment to see the menopause, to be referred to the menopause clinic, and
Yes.
October is a year now that I've been twice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a couple of years now.
Yeah, so it's been quite a journey then, just of trial and error, hasn't it, really?
Yeah, it has. It has been trial and error, and then just lots of learning from me and understanding, and it really has helped. Just reading, seeing a
Mm-hmm.
herbalist, and having the herbal alternative and my teas and
Mm-hmm.
all of these things to try to help my body to kind of transition. And I take my collagen, and it really has helped me to be able to talk about it and help others that are either going through this period of their life and don't know what to do. So yeah, I feel that now I can talk about it and help others as well
Yeah,
to get through this time.
that's it, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of like you need to be on a nice even level for yourself first, isn't it, before that you can
Yeah,
step
yeah,
back a little bit and realise how far you've come, really,
yeah,
isn't it?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, because I feel like when you're going through something, it's very tunnel vision. You
Yeah,
can't see past it until you're kind of pretty much through it. So no,
yeah.
totally understand. So throughout this journey, then, have you experienced quite a few different challenges with menopause?
Um,
Anything significant?
I don't know. I'd say that it's definitely difficult challenge when you're in stressful situations, like personally,
Yeah,
or in work as well. It's because you forget things, and it's the tiredness as well. You can get really
mm,
tired at some periods. Times I get really tired and forgetful, and I just the brain fog, forget what I'm saying. And when you're stressed out, or I'm more. I try. I've used to feel that prior to menopause, I could see things a lot clearer and deal with things that were quite stressy.
yes,
But now it's like, with the menopause, I just want to go and lie down and have a good old sleep because I
yeah,
just can't cope with everything. It's too much, like it's a overloading my brain.
hmm,
Um, so I think that's what I've experienced. Yeah,
yeah, like a big shift.
yeah,
And yeah, because you know that people say, oh yeah, I can work well under pressure, and then all of a sudden,
yeah.
then you can't, right?
You can't. No, absolutely. You
Yeah.
just can't. You want to, but you just can't.
Hmm.
Because your body is, either tired or achy, or you're forgetful, and you're going to say something, you forgot what you're going to say. So all of these things just add to the stress that you're dealing with, and it's just a
Yeah.
bit overwhelming because you think, I just want to, I can do this. I used to be able to do this. What's going on?
Yes.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. And then you start
yeah,
second guessing yourself, isn't it?
yeah. No, absolutely, you do. Yeah.
Yeah. So with all of that, then added stress and overwhelm and so on, it can take quite a toll on, personal relationships, whether that's, with your partner, with your friends, with your family. So how did that affect you?
I think, my husband didn't really, he just was like, you need to get some fish oils or you're forgetting you're forgetting the key in the door and you forgot the
Okay.
key
Yeah.
and I bought him a book, but he didn't ever read it.
Mm.
And but I mean, I just feel that that's why I feel that menopause and should be kind of taught in schools or to boys as well.
Yes.
At some stage, it impacts boys and girls, because boys will have a mum and a sister or a wife or a girlfriend, and as a mature person, mature man, they will have to understand it to be able to cope with, their wife or their daughter.
Mm.
So I really feel that there is a lot of education, a bit more for men really, because I think it helps and they could understand. And especially I'm in a part of a Facebook group, and some of the women said, "Oh, some of the comments," and I laugh when they say, "Oh, my husband, well, I just really hate him right now," or they say different things and about what's going on for them and how they find this journey difficult,
Yeah.
having to not having the support of the husband. Whereas I've got a friend who's, she's not long married, but her husband really is attentive and understanding. And, even when I go there, we'll sit there, we'll talk about the menopause, and he's involved as well. And I just
Oh,
think
wow.
this is amazing.
Yes.
And, because he wants to know, he wants to understand what his wife's going through. And I just think it's just great,
Mm.
to have that. But then, we don't always are not fortunate to have men in our lives that are like that. And so that can make it difficult, and also the children as well. I've
Mm.
got my daughter's like 26, and she said, "Oh, you're so forgetful, Mum. Like I told you this, and you're repeating yourself." And I said to her, "But I am in the menopause, and it affects me." "Oh, you always say that, but I'm saying to her, you've got to understand, like
Yeah.
it's a real thing. It's
Not
um,
just an excuse, is it?
exactly."
Yeah.
And I said, I just want you. I've given her books and stuff. And she's like, "I will read it. Yeah, I'll put it down and
Yeah.
stuff." And she just never does. But I always have to remind her. So
Mhm.
I think there's so much more, educational. Um, there's room for education around this, for not just for women. I think for men and children, everyone.
Yes. Everyone.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. Just more awareness in general.
yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Absolutely. So you did mention your herbalist that you went to see. So
yeah.
um apart from obviously now being on a treatment plan with your herbalist, so you said it was teas that you're primarily taking?
Well, I was taking the like a black seed oil and
Mm.
some other bits, teachers that help with, specifically for hormone balance in women throughout the menopause. So that's been good. That really
Mm-hmm.
helps with my uh, hot flushes, and the tea really helps with just relaxing you and relaxing your muscles and stuff, and that really
Yeah.
helps. And I always drink the tea. I mean, I drink herbal tea anyways,
Mm.
but I in terms of that particular tea, is really really good. It just really just relaxes you, so
Amazing.
that really helps. But another thing that I haven't mentioned that I should mention was that I have I have got a form of alopecia,
Okay.
um, but throughout the menopause it's actually got worse, because you do have thinning hair and hair loss.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that my hair has got extremely. I mean, I know I've got like the AAA where it attacks a part of your scalp and then it just different patches. But definitely has got a lot worse throughout the menopause.
Right. My goodness. Yeah, it's just yet another thing to add to the list,
Another
isn't it?
thing,
Really.
yeah.
My goodness. So what other have you made any other sort of lifestyle changes then? Have you had to adapt to anything else because of
So
menopause?
yeah, in terms of my diet and so with the herbalists and kind of the midwife, I was like, what is going on around my waist area?
Yeah.
I should like I blinked and I was like, this is just not right.
Yeah.
So when I was seeing the herbalist and she was saying about I changed my diet and I I don't eat any I cut out gluten,
Mm-hmm.
so that really helped me to be able to lose weight as well. And I've cut out, I think it was from last year though, it's been about over a year that I've just stopped eating any meat.
Okay.
And I do drink a lot of water. I love water. And but more just like the herbal. I mean, as I said, I only drink herbal anyway, but more of the herbal teas that was recommended that it would help with my menopause.
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of more healthy, really, just more healthy than what I was doing previously. That's
Yeah.
helped because I've lost weight and so that really has helped me. But the exercise is really good. So I've kind of upped my weights as well
Mm-hmm.
because that helps. So yeah, those things I've actually changed and focused on
Yeah.
making
Excellent.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely all helps. It really does. Because we think of ourselves as, well-oiled machines. If something in the system's not quite right, it's going to have a knock-on effect on everything else. So,
Yeah.
if we start with our fuel and how we move our bodies,
Yeah.
then yeah, everything else just gets better, doesn't it? I
Absolutely.
always say that because I think it is what hydration is the biggest thing that
Yeah.
we don't do enough of
Yeah.
as a society. We don't drink
Yeah.
enough water. So yeah, it makes a big, big difference for sure. So is there anything, Cheryl, that you know now that you wish you had known before entering the menopause?
Oh, so many things. Just you know, just everything I've learned. Really, I wish I knew before.
Mm,
I wish I knew that I would get to a certain age, and my body would start depleting of estrogen and progesterone, and the importance of um, giving my body that back.
mm,
Um, and
yeah,
and how important it is for functioning your body to function correctly because we were created with that. So for us to lose it, then it's going to have a knock-on effect.
yeah.
So I think that just that whole understanding, like we get to, when I was at school, we had like hygiene lessons and we
Mm,
spoke about periods
yeah.
and sexual health and all of these different things, but we never spoke about menopause. And I thought,
Mm,
well, that would have been a good time. And I don't know if they teach children the these classes anymore, but it'd be good to talk about your period when you get to a certain age. You're going to go through your menopause, or even if there's a book or something that would have been able to kind of forewarn me that I get to a certain age and this is what's going to happen.
absolutely, yeah. Because the amount of people who just think their period stops and that's it
Yes,
is unbelievable.
it
Even now,
is.
in this
Yeah,
day and age.
yeah. No, I
Yeah,
totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah, I just wished I knew a lot. I knew what was going to happen,
yeah,
basically.
absolutely. So, what advice then, Cheryl, would you give to others?
I think the main advice I'd say would be to, you know, start to get to know about what's going to happen when you probably hit late 40s or
Mm-hmm.
mid 40s. It could even happen before. And I think it's important to know your body and understand your body so that you can recognize any changes,
Yes.
and question the changes, and, understand, help with your understanding of any changes that you're seeing in your body, or how your body reacts to different things, or your
Mm-hmm.
brain, or your moods and all of these things. And just, yeah, be forewarned, understand it, so that then it will help you to be able to cope with when your time comes in your transition.
Yeah.
I think that's the best advice, is to, it doesn't matter what age, you should know a little bit about what's going to happen at a certain time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. And be ready for it.
Be ready.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Be 100% ready, because you're going to need to be.
Yeah,
You're going
absolutely.
to be ready for what's to come. And everybody has different and a different experience.
Mm.
It plays out so differently in everybody, but I think it's healthy to talk about it.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to not talk about it. That's another thing. Keep talking about it. Tell your children about it. Speak to your husbands about it. Speak at work about it. And if it's not in your work environment, then why isn't it? The HR should be putting out some leaflets or information about it.
Yeah.
And don't be ashamed of it. Don't be ashamed. Sometimes I'm in meetings and I forget things, and I said, sorry, I'm a menopausal brain. And I just forgot what I was going to say. So just give me a moment. And I'm just so not ashamed of saying that I'm in my menopause, and or I've got symptoms that affecting the way I'm thinking today, or, I
Yeah.
just, I just think it's good to embrace it. Um,
100%.
yeah, and it's just something that every woman has to deal with. So why not, just accept it?
Accept it. Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah,
you must be quite pleasantly surprised on how everyone else around you responds to that, because it's almost a little bit of a, you know, it's an understanding, isn't it? It's like
yeah,
oh yeah, no worries, Cheryl. You're
yeah,
going through something. I get it.
yeah,
Because I
yeah,
remember I remember days when I was out with like my mum and her best friend, and they were so proper, and they were saying things like, "Oh, just having a tropical moment," and I now really understand what that means.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but it was
yeah,
just very much brushed over. But I could kind of nod between themselves. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
having a flush.
yeah, yeah.
Give me a minute
But
to overcome it.
yeah, but I feel it's quite sad, like my mom and my nan,
Yeah,
they never spoke about it, and they went through it, and it's I definitely identify, like, with my mom, and sometimes she can be a bit really snappy
yeah,
and all of these things, and my dad and my sister and my daughter say, oh, don't say anything to mom right now because she's a bit frosty or whatever. But I thought, you know what, my mum's going through the menopause, and we have to understand that. And but my mum doesn't recognize it herself. Sometimes she just says, no, no, and actually, no, mom, you are in the menopause and you're deep in there, and it's been, now you've just accepting it. It's not an acceptance, it's that's what happens.
yes.
I mean, we accept it, but I'm saying it's not a part of your personality.
Mm,
You wasn't like that all the time. So that's the only thing, when you're not when you don't know about it, you just say, oh, this is the new me, to be snappy and frustrated and stuff like
yeah,
that. So yeah,
yeah. And I think that's such a valid point. Like, it was very much just putting up with it
yeah,
for
yeah,
for that generation, rather than being a little bit more solutions focused, like
yeah.
we are in our generation, and being like, we can fix this, and this is not how it has to be.
That's right. When I think back to those generational, like my grandparents and stuff, and I just think, wow, the men must have thought what was going on. But a lot of
Yeah.
the men, because back then, those times, marriages, last forever. You don't get divorced or
No.
anything like that. And so, the men uh, would have found that difficult as well, like not understanding what's going on with their partner, or the partners were their wives, and crying and bursting into tears, and
Yeah.
not understanding why they're doing that and what's going on for them, or they're forgetful, and they're just so that must have been a really difficult time for men as well, and children in the
Yes.
household, not understanding what was going on. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we've come a long way, but I think we've still got quite a lot of work to do, don't we?
Absolutely, yeah. But I'm glad that we have got so far, and there's a lot, there is a longer way to go. But I think, these having conversations and opportunities to talk and share it's just so, I really feel really happy about it. I think it's really, really good. Um,
Yes.
and, I just want to support it as much as I can. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, lovely, Cheryl. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and sharing your experience with us. Because I think, like we discussed earlier, no two women's journeys are the same, and we can really all learn from that.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. It was nice to just again talk about menopause and,
Yeah.
share my experience, and hopefully it's helped somebody else to feel comfortable in talking about their journey,
Yes.
and then hopefully sharing it again on this podcast. So yeah, thank you.
Great. Okay, Cheryl. Well, you take care, and I'll speak to you again soon.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Menopause Unplugged. I hope you found the conversation to be informative, enlightening, and empowering. Remember, menopause is a natural part of a woman's life journey, but it doesn't have to be a lonely one. Whether you're experiencing perimenopause or menopause, my menopause coaching program can provide reassurance and guidance. Please do reach out to me through my contact details on the show description. And until next time, take care.